Hi everyone. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. It is important for the channel. There will be a lot of interesting love stories. Ronald fell in love with his future wife when she was a child. And the first time he met her, he decided he was going to marry her. Now they've been together for over 55 years. They were not engaged. They just waited patiently and without longing for what was meant for them, but they knew that sooner or later they would get married. He planned to become a lawyer and went to university. But he was a well-rounded guy. He was interested in many things. He was fascinated by romantic poetry too. But he chose a career in law. He wanted to earn decent money. He needed it for the pleasures of his little darling. He needed the money to marry Adele, but she wasn't of marriageable age yet. The girl had been born too late and was therefore so much younger than her betrothed. He was going to wait for her. The girl always had excellent grades. She was a very serious and responsible child. Her favorite pastime was to lie on the grass in the garden near the house and watch insects, birds, small animals. She planned to become a biologist. She liked Ronald very much. She dreamed of a future with him too. As Adele grew older, she was even approached by other suitors, but she rejected them all. She waited for Ronald to ask her to marry her, and she was not afraid of being an old maid. Adele was regularly informed of her lover's adventures. He was not serious about it. But Adele was not upset by these rumors. She thought it was none of her business. Even rumors about Ronnie's little affairs didn't matter to her. That's her character, I guess. What was important to Adele was that he never stopped answering her letters, telling her what was going on in his soul. Who he's sharing his bed with, far away, doesn't matter. He's only a man, and they haven't exchanged marriage vows yet. They wrote to each other 2 or 3 times a week. Ronnie reported that every day, as he woke up and went to sleep, he looked at Adele's picture hanging at the foot of his bed. And it was true. Adele had to wait a full 10 years for her wedding when Ronald was 30 years old. The couple was finally able to get married. They had started their own family. During their years of married life, they never had a single serious rift. Probably because they looked at things as simply as they did before marriage. After all, family life is a devilishly difficult endeavor that you start over every day. And it's like that all your life. You live in constant tension, and it's so tiring at times. But many of us are willing to live like that. At first, they lived in a small apartment from Ronnie's work. Adele was completely untrained in housekeeping, but Ron was lenient about it, and he even cleaned the house himself. And he didn't grumble. He loved and understood his young wife. And he patiently taught Adele how to cook his favorite dishes. What Adele excelled at as a hostess was saving money. She easily learned to live in poverty, to choose the cheapest things in the shops and turn them into quite appetizing dishes. Adele willingly hosted guests in her small apartment, and on weekends they went to the countryside. But she was modest, not much of a talker. She brought reason and rationality into his life. A year later, the couple had their first son. Her husband often traveled to distant cities for work. And Adele waited again, habitually and obediently. 3 years later, their second son was born. Her husband wanted a daughter, but they had no more children. There were times when they didn't have enough money. Then Adele borrowed goods and negotiated. She also talked to the owner of the house where they were renting, begging him to wait a little longer. Ronald realized how much he owed his wife. Sometimes there could be arguments in their family about the upbringing of their children. Ronald raised his children to put work above all else. He wanted to raise them to be responsible. Adele often accompanied him to important events, but she was a silent ghost. When they returned home from parties, Adele was relieved to hide her dressy outfits and tight shoes in her closet. She's more comfortable at home. It's her favorite thing to make Ronald comfortable. It was important that his office was warm, clean, and that food and coffee were served on time. Sometimes they had visitors at home, then their sons when they separated. When her husband was sick, Adele, in addition to the doctors, supplemented the treatment herself. They belonged to each other completely. They cared for each other. The older they got, the more boldly and openly they spoke of love, of its great importance in life. They asserted that undoubtedly, the meaning of life is love. And of course, you should write only about love, because everything else is evil. Love, on the other hand, is the passionate, crazy, eternal love of man and woman. For Ronald, his wife is always a young girl he met in his youth. And he lived with her, that girl, all his married life. And Adele didn't care about the unpleasant rumors about his infatuations. She always knew that Ronnie only belonged to her. He's hers. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.